Welcome to this week's edition of the Prophetic Journey with Bishop Dr. Idah Peterside. My name is Tracy, and in studio today I have got a daughter of the house who has survived and overcome odds and obstacles just for her to hang on to her faith. I'm going to ask her to introduce herself, and she's going to take us through her story. Thank you so much for joining us today in studio. Would you kindly introduce yourself and where you're from?
Hi, my name is Babalelo Mabelani and I'm from Esther Park.
Now, Papa Lelo, your journey begins a while back with your mom. Now take us through the story, ma'am.
I don't know where to begin, but basically, I'll start with how I grew up, if you don't mind.
Before we get to that,
Okay.
But when did you come to Christ Ambassadors Church?
Okay, I started attending Christ Ambassadors Church in July 2016.
July 2016. And
Yes.
how did you get to hear about Christ Ambassadors Church, and how did you walk through those doors?
I was actually invited by my mom because she's the one that knew the church way longer than I have. So when she found out that the building is now here, because at first it was like a bit of a distance away. So when she found out that it was here, she told me about it and she was like, we should come. And then we came, and from there I've been attending.
And you've been attending since then. Now, some of the things that she would tell you about the church, and as a young person, what were those things that she told you that made you want to attend the ministry?
Actually, there was one day I went with her. I attended CAC with her, but that was like when it was still somewhere far. I can't remember because I was still young. So I attended with her. I loved the music. I was dancing along and everything. So I told her, oh, I love the church. I love it. I love the music and everything. So when I told her about it, she was happy in some sense. And then when she told me that it's here, she was like, remember that church that you loved? You loved their music and everything. I was like, she was like, Dr. Idah's church. She was like, I'll show you. You were talking about it that day. She was like, it's now in Kempton Park. Then when we came, I was like, oh, this church. Oh, okay. Because I just remembered the music. That's all that I could remember about it. Yeah.
And how old were you at that time?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I was quite young, yeah.
Yes. So the first time you came in, now the second time she's brought you back, and you were hooked.
The second time, yeah, I was like, yeah.
But what did you get? What did you feel, the moment you came in?
When I came here, I remember Sister Florida was singing the song All Honor, All Glory. I don't know if you know it, but that's the song I remember from that very day. When I came here, I felt this atmosphere of love. I felt so loved. I felt it was a feeling I've never felt before. So when I was here, I just got, I don't know if I can say into myself, but I just, that moment you just feel overwhelmed and you start crying.
Yes.
I just felt that, and I felt very loved, and I just loved it ever since.
You talk about feeling very loved and having that experience of love, that emotion, that overwhelming emotion. Now, Papi, does it have something to do with something that you were lacking in your life?
Yes.
And what was that? Were you lacking love in your life?
I would say so because growing up I felt quite neglected by both my parents because I'm the only child from both of my parents, and they were separated when I was growing up. So for a couple of years I grew up with my grandmother, and then later on in 2007 I started living with my mom.
Yes.
So my mom already had somebody. See,
as in she was in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay.
So I felt as though that she paid more attention to him than she did to me. And my dad, on the other side, he didn't even try a lot. I would be the one going to visit him, but even if I'd go and visit him, he wouldn't see me as much because I'd be going to my aunt's house. So I'd be with my cousins more and less with my dad. So I yearned for that.
You yearned for that. Yeah. And you mentioned a whole lot of people, a circle of family members. But was there someone that you could actually relate to. I know there was your mom, your dad, living separately, and you're failing to connect with them. But then there's a grandma in the picture. Who could you relate with?
I don't even know how to put this, but I grew up being somebody that would keep everything to myself. So I didn't necessarily speak a lot to a lot of people, but the people that I could get along with the most was my aunt, my mom's younger sister, and a bit with my grandmother. But when I grew up like that, I didn't have a phone most of the time, and they lived far.
Oh, yes.
So I'll just preserve everything. I'll just keep everything to myself, and I wouldn't talk much about it.
Now here you are, here in the Miracle Center, and you are feeling this overwhelming sense of love every time you attend.
Yeah.
And now, take us through the journey of the events that began to unfold.
Where do you want me to start?
Okay, with your mom. Now you're with your mom. You talk about your relationship. You're still staying with your mom?
Yes, I am with her at the moment, yes.
At the moment,
Yes.
you are. Okay, we thank God. And now back then, and this is the situation that you are in. You are now attending the Miracle Center. You are blending in very well with everybody else
Everybody else.
in the ministry. Were you part of the young people's ministry? How were you getting involved? Were you getting yourself involved in the ministry activities?
Yes, I still am part of the youth ministry.
Okay.
And I also work here and there in the church. So I guess that's how I blend myself in, I guess.
You mentioned earlier, and you say that hell broke loose. And you had a nasty gut feeling about your mom inviting you to her new place because she had got a new place, and that was in September 2017.
Oh, yeah. Before that, we were living under my stepfather's house, so we decided to move to a different place, which is our own. Before that, we'd have all these arguments, and I thought that it would get better if we lived together. But then I just got the feeling once I got there that it's like things are just about to get worse. So then that was in September 2017. From there, things started escalating. Arguments started escalating. Like a lot of things were I was being blamed for most of the things that would go wrong at home. When my little sisters would do things wrongly, I'd be blamed for, even though I wasn't there. So then it finally got to a point where my mom started chasing me out of the house. She's like, get out of my house, get out of my house. And it got to a point whereby I was like, what, it's fine, I'll leave.
Okay, so every time she'll be like, get out of the house, get out of my house. Would it be, being locked outside for an hour or two?
No, she would tell me, get out of my house. I don't want to live with you anymore. You can go live with your father. You can go live with your grandmother. I don't want you in my house. She would just say it. She hasn't actually locked me out. So then because I kept on hearing it constantly, I ended up feeling like, okay, maybe that's what she wants. So I was like, okay, fine.
And how old were you then?
2017, I was, I'm 22 this year, 2019, 21 last year.
So you're about 19, 20,
yeah.
thereabouts. And so you would hear these words, and they would obviously make you feel more unloved, isolated, unaccepted.
Yes.
Was it the same treatment that you would also give to the younger ones?
No.
Okay.
She treated them very differently. That's why I even felt like maybe something's wrong with me.
So then what did you do? Because you mentioned that finally you decided to do it.
So I finally decided that I'll leave the house, and then I started packing my stuff. When I started packing my stuff, that's when she was like, where are you going? She didn't apologize for saying what she was saying. She was just like, where are you going? Where do you think you're going? I was like, you said I must get out, so I'm leaving. Then she saw the seriousness of my packing and everything. Then she started calling in different pastors, not from this church though, from other churches. She'd call police people to come and talk to me. This one time, this other police officers, they came and they spoke to us, and we got to an agreement whereby they told me that I have to try and just listen to my mom and obey whatever she says, respect her. Then on her part, they were like, on your side as well, you must try and listen to your child, because she's speaking to you, but sometimes you don't listen, and it frustrates her. But then she didn't listen to them. Then next thing, few minutes just after they left, she called my grandma. She's like, these police people, they don't know what they're doing. They're telling me nonsense. They're telling me that I must start a relationship with my children, with my child. Like, what is that? Instead of telling her to stay in the house. So because of that, I felt like, oh, so what is she trying to do? Is she trying to keep me in like a cage, or is she trying to fix this relationship? Because I literally felt like she was trying to fix the relationship. But after hearing what she said, I felt like she's no longer trying to do that. Then that's when I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done trying to fix this thing. I was tired of looking at myself as I'm the wrong one. Then I decided to leave. When I decided to leave, that was in December.
December of 2017.
Yes.
Okay.
In December of 2017, she then got me to go home to Limpopo. When we went there, she actually had the intention of keeping me that side for I don't know how long. But then they'd already planned that I was gonna work at ShopRite and all of that. When I found out this stuff, my grandmother actually told me this. When I found out, I was quite angry. I was like, but after studying for so long, I have to go and work at ShopRite. What is that though?
So you had dreams, and here
I
they're giving you,
did.
they're offering you
It
something
frustrated
else.
me even more.
What were you dreaming about? What is it? What are your dreams?
I wanted to be an engineer. I still
Okay.
want to be an engineer,
Yes.
aircraft engineer.
Yes.
So after studying that whole stuff and now being told that I'm gonna work as a teller, I was like, what?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. Yes.
So then from there, I would try and talk to my mom. She's like, no, you're not well in your head. I'd be like, I'm not well in my head. She's like, yes, you're not well in your head, so you must stay at home for some time. I'm like, so what is staying at home going to help me with? Do we have doctors here that are going to help me get well? She was like, you'll stay with your grandmother. They'll monitor you and see if you're progressing, because I don't think you're well enough to be staying in Gauteng. I got angry, but I kept calm. I was like, okay, fine. I dropped the call. That time she left. She came back to Gauteng. And then from there, I was very angry, actually. I was like, you know what, let me try another solution, because if I keep on trying to talk to my mom, she will never listen to me.
Yes.
Then that's when I tried to get accommodation this side from a shelter.
Okay, so there you were. Let me just take you back to what you've just said. You say that they took you to a smaller town. That's Limpopo. Took you out of the big city, out of everything, what you used to, the life you're used to, and they take you to a small town, and you're staying with your grandma. But the events that took place there, what was it? Did they try to do some other intervention, because they are saying that you're not well in the head?
Oh yeah, they did. My grandmother actually went to this other gathering that they have, ZCC members. So then this other prophet told her that the enemies around me.
The enemy is around you.
Yes.
Okay.
So then when they said that they must write my name down, I must go to Moria, they must register me for what, and that I would have to drink the teas for a certain period of time, and to wear that uniform, all into that.
All in the name of cleansing. Because if they're saying the enemy is around you.
I guess.
You kids, okay.
guess.
Okay.
So when I heard all of this, I was like, no ways, I can't. Because I've been attending it when I lived with my grandmother.
Yes.
But I never liked the church. And I would tell her that I don't like going to this church. I actually prefer the Catholic church over ZCC.
What would happen? Because, you've attended it before. What would you see that should make you not like it?
Just the way they would conduct things, the way they would pray, the way they would... There wasn't a lot of teaching, if I could say,
Mm.
because I'm somebody that really loves the word. So there wasn't a lot of that. So it just, there was a lot of drinking of teas, and I didn't understand, why am I drinking a tea if I'm not thirsty, or if I'm not this and that and that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I preferred a Catholic church whereby they would teach us the word.
Yes.
So it was just
A
like,
conflict
yeah.
of some sort. So now you were there for how long? How long were you there in Limpopo?
I left in December. I came back in January.
You came back in January, so a month.
Yeah.
Now what happens? Now you're back in Johannesburg, you're back in the big city. Who are you living with, and what happens?
Okay, when I came back, I spoke to Mama Lillian as she was the head of. I had some money saved up.
You had some money saved
Yes,
up.
I had my own
So,
money.
so even before you left, you knew you're not going to get permission from your granny.
Yeah.
So the only way out was to escape,
Yes.
and you managed to escape.
Yes.
How did you do it?
Well, actually, it happened on the 8th, I think.
The 8th of January.
Yes.
Okay.
The night before, I took my bag, which was a big bag. I put it outside at night. So I hid it when they were all inside.
Mhm.
So then after that, in the morning, I just squeezed myself out by myself and then took my bag out because I had my money already.
Okay.
And I just took the bags. I left around 4 to 5.
In the morning.
Yes.
So early hours of the morning, here you are leaving. But just to ask, the money, where'd you get the money from?
I would get allowance and I'd save it.
Okay. So
Actually, at that time, I asked a friend to send me the money.
okay.
'Cause at that time, that's when my mom had stopped giving me money.
Okay.
So it was finished, then I asked a friend, and the friend sent me money.
Okay. So now what did you do? You've left, you've escaped, and there you are. How did you connect? How did you get transport back to Johannesburg?
Back to Johannesburg, I used the money that I had because it was
Yes.
more than enough.
It was more than
bring me all
enough.
the way beside.
Okay, and the mode of transport?
I used a taxi.
You used a taxi. Okay, so this is like early hours of the morning, between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m., you make your escape. Tell me, what happened when you got to Johannesburg?
When I got to Johannesburg, I spoke to Mama Lillian. Before I came, I actually asked Mama Lillian for accommodation. I told
Okay.
her my story, and she was like, okay, I can offer you accommodation for a certain period of time. I was like, okay, that's fine. Because I had the intention of getting a job and being able to provide for myself. So then I managed to do that. I came all the way to Gauteng, and then I met up with Mama Lillian. She gave me the directions to come to the shelter, and then from there everything was all right. And then they started calling me from home. They would start calling me, asking me where I am and all of that. I would tell them to just give me some time. I just need some time to think, to be all to myself and all of that. And then they actually got a police involved, and they hacked into my phone, my SIM card.
Yes.
Because it was a contract, and my mom was paying for it, so that's how she got authority to it. Then once they did that, I stopped using that SIM card and got a new SIM card. Then from there, I stopped talking to them until April. That's when my mom came back. So then everything from there, I would look for a job and everything, and then life would go on. And then April came. When April came, we had the encounter service.
Yes, the Easter service.
Yes, Easter service at Civic Center.
Yes.
My mom came there, and as I was helping out in the children's department that day, one of the ushers came and called me saying that my mom wants to see me. I was like, okay. I went outside. My mom, she was like, how? You're this side, but you're not even telling us that you're this side. She's like, why don't you just come home? I was like, I'm not ready yet. And then she was like, okay, that's fine. If you're ever ready to come back, you can just come back. I was like, but I'll need my ID because I didn't have it at that time. And then when she was like, you can come and you can let us know when you want to come and fetch it. Then we'll come. You can just come and fetch it. I was like, okay. Then we finished on a light note. And then later on, I was told that, no, my mom wasn't like okay. She was crying outside. One of the pastors got involved. And they had arranged a meeting with Bishop to try and sort out what was happening. Because around that time, Bishop had already spoken to me, asking me what's happening with my life. Why am I in a shelter, not at home? Then I explained the situation. And then he offered to look after me at that time because the shelter was about to close down. So
Okay.
he offered to take care of me, him and Mama Amy. So I was like, okay. I agreed. Everything was fine. Then after that, the Monday after Easter,
Yes.
they called me to the office saying that my mom is there. They want to talk.
Okay. Now, when you getting this call and you're being called to the church office and you're being told that your mom wants to talk to you, how did you feel about it?
I was a bit nervous. I was quite nervous, but I was like, okay, let's do this.
Did it feel like you were nervous because she might win? Because all along you were never heard? As a youngster, every time there were squabbles about your life, you would never win.
I felt like because she's an elder, they're going to take her side and not listen to how I feel and what has actually brought me to this point. So that is actually what made me quite nervous. And then when I came, my grandmother, my mother, and my little sister, they were there with Bishop, Mama Amy, and Pastor Sophie. So they just briefed me a bit about what they'd spoken about. And actually what happened that day was that they heard from my side that I was not happy. And then the first thing Bishop asked me to do was ask for forgiveness for my mom.
Okay, so they heard from your side that you were not happy. You were not happy with what, Papi?
I was not happy with how things were, that the life that we're living, constantly being blamed for everything, the fact that I felt neglected, things like that.
Okay.
That I would argue, because it's quite wrong to argue with your elders.
Yes.
That I would do that. They said that I should ask for forgiveness. And I did that from the bottom of my heart. I did, because I was ready to move away from all of this negativity. Then we did that, and after we did that, and then Bishop asked my mom for permission that I live with him and Mama Amy.
Okay.
Then my mom agreed. Then from there we agreed that we'd try and have like a would have what's that thing?
An agreement?
No. When you try and talk to someone to make
Counseling.
Counseling, yes,
Okay.
for the both of us.
Okay. So there was a condition attached to you.
In some sort, yes.
In some sort.
Yes.
Okay.
Then from there we agreed everything was fine. Then the next day, my mom said that my dad said we should have an affidavit to state that I'm living with the Peterside family.
Okay.
Then we went to the police. We spoke to the commissioner.
Yes.
And then the commissioner actually helped us write the affidavit saying that I'm now with Bishop and Mama Amy, that Bishop is the one that's my guardian at that moment.
So it was authorized. Everything was, official, was made official.
Yes, my mom was there, my grandmother was there. Yeah. So we agreed on that, and it was fine for that day. Okay, so then we'll try the counseling. No one would be there. They would talk to me about actually, like this one day, he was like to me, what you did was actually irresponsible. The fact that I ran away.
The fact that you ran away.
Yeah.
So who's talking to you here?
Bishop.
Oh, it's Bishop.
Yes.
You're now at home and he's talking now.
Yeah.
He's counseling you.
Yeah, he was like, irresponsible, and in some sense there was a better way of dealing with this thing than running away. But because at that time, like, that's the only thing that would go through my mind, I thought it was right. So then Kay would have other days where he would just speak to me about how it may not be so easy being a single mother.
Okay.
Maybe that's what made her do the things that she's done, which today I do understand,
Okay.
you know. So yeah, that's what we try and do. And then things just, my mom didn't really like how long it was taking, because she wanted it to take less than a month.
Okay.
But then
Okay.
it was taking a bit longer than that. Then that's when she was like, no, she doesn't like the fact that I'm living with the bishop, what exactly is happening there. Then certain assumptions were made.
Okay.
And then next thing, the police, they got involved. They were saying that, no, bishop is living with girls, busy bringing girls in the house and keeping them in his house, which was not true.
Which is not true, because you were living there and obviously you're a witness. You never
Yes.
saw that.
Yeah, it was just me, Mama Amy, Bishop, and Jackie. It was just the four of us there. So all of these things, even the police came and they searched. When they searched, they couldn't find anything. They couldn't find any girls, so they left. And they actually asked me if I did want to live there or if I wanted to go with my mom. I was like, I want to live here. And then they were like, okay, then it's fine. But then it actually got to an extent whereby my mom got the those high authority
Yes.
in the police department.
Yes.
She got them involved, saying that me, I'm crazy in my head, saying that I'm being held against my will. That's actually how they got to forcefully taking me out of the house, because they thought that I'm mentally disturbed. So then,
Because they were informed so
yes,
by your mom.
yes, and that was while Mama Amy was still pregnant, and they actually came when Bishop was not around, and it was only Mama Amy. So it was like,
So here she was expecting,
yeah,
and the police are forcefully gaining entry.
yeah,
Is that how they came into the
yeah.
property?
Yes, they did. They were allowed to come in to just talk. You see, when they came in to just talk, then suddenly, like, they just started raising their voice and being aggressive.
Oh no.
You know, talking
Yeah.
to me. They're like, they'll beat me up. I must listen. I'm a child. What am I? They'll beat me up. Busy speaking in that sense. And that was when Bishop had left, went to Russia. Then Mama Amy would try and talk to them, but then they wouldn't listen. So then they called Bishop all the way in Russia.
Yes,
And
because
then
you
they were like,
attended
no.
the World Cup, is it?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Then he was like, no, they can't do that. They can't forcefully get me out of the house. And they were like, no, the mother says that. No, they said their head said that they must come and get me out of here. And then it was just, back and forth with what they were saying and what we were saying. But then eventually, like, they forcefully got me out of the house, and they took me back to my mom's house.
Now, at that moment, here you are in, amidst this altercation taking place, with enforcing agents, law enforcing agents, and here is Mama Amy. She's expecting, she's pregnant, and your space has been invaded.
Yeah.
How did you feel at that moment?
I actually broke down when they were busy threatening me like that. Because I was trying to get my voice out there to be heard, but they were not listening, And this other lady actually grabbed me by the wrist and was like, so.
And that was one of the police officers.
Yes.
That was painful.
It was, because, like, you see my wrist, like, I'm quite small, so.
Yes.
So it was, I actually broke down because I was trying to get my voice out there. No one wanted to listen to me. And at this point, like, just hurting me. So I was like, I cried. I couldn't even talk. I cried so bad I couldn't speak. But then eventually I kind of calmed down. One of them tried to listen to me when they were making me pack.
Yes.
She tried to listen to what I had to say, and I told her what was happening. She was like, no, but that's not the story you heard.
What was the story they heard?
They heard the story that I'm mentally unstable, that I'm being held against my will, and that he's not a real bishop or a real pastor or a man of God.
So here you're telling her, because she now comes into your room. Obviously, it's a well-kept room. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful room. They have it all, made up for you. And now she's realizing the situation. What did she say when you told her?
She actually she said, okay, just tell me your side of the story, what's happening. Then I told her how my relationship is with my mom, how I came about to being here. Then she was like, oh, but your mom told us that, oh no, she asked, where's your dad? I was like, he's in Limpopo, he doesn't live here. She's like, oh, but she told us that he's currently at work. I was like, I don't know about that. And then I told her the story of us living here and what has happened. Then I mentioned then the affidavit was mentioned.
Yes.
Then she was like, what affidavit? I was like, the fact that we had an agreement that I could live here. She's like, your mom never told us about that. And then she told the other officer. The other officer went and asked, and then they told her. Then she was like, this is not what we heard. But okay, because we were told by our senior to come and get you out, we have to do that. And then fine, I calmed down, I started packing my stuff, and then we left. And then it wasn't a really nice environment, but
So they left. Where did they take you
to my mom's home.
Now, when you got to your mom's home, here you are. You've been forcefully taken out of a place of safety. Before we even get there, but what would you feel when you were in Bishop's house, Bishop and Lady Emmy's house? What were you feeling? What did you get emotionally, physically, spiritually?
When I lived with them, I could learn a lot. You know, I wouldn't say that I was like the best child growing up and everything, but then I could learn that no, there are certain things that I should do, certain things I shouldn't do.
Okay.
Having a father in the environment, it made me know my place.
All right.
Because sometimes when you grow up with just a mom, you learn to speak up, and which is something that you shouldn't do. You learn to just express yourself however way you wish, but then having that voice that is scary at times, it really teaches you manners and a lot of respect. So when I lived with them, I remember this other time I would look at how Mama Emmy would talk to Bishop and how they would talk to each other, and I'm like, okay, I haven't seen that, because I would see how sometimes like he doesn't get angry a lot, but then when he's irritated a bit, there'd be a certain way Mama Emmy would react, you see. So I would take just notes, here and there, and I would see how, in a way, I could have done things differently with my mom.
Wow. So what sort of response would Mama Emmy do that was actually a life lesson for you?
She wouldn't speak up. She'd just keep quiet.
She wouldn't speak up. So you realize that when you were dealing with your own mom,
Yeah.
and you'd backchat,
Yeah.
then it would escalate the fire.
Yes. Sometimes you just have to be quiet. Sometimes you just have to be calm. Because the other person is just speaking from their own view. They don't know your own view. Sometimes it's just better to just be quiet and just not really disrespectively do it your own way, but in some sense kind of do it your own way, in a calm manner.
In a calm manner.
Yes.
You were never calm before.
I was not.
But you managed to find that within yourself.
I did.
The first time you tried being calm, what was the scenario? And then, and what was your response? Like, wow, did I do this? I can do this?
Yeah, like nowadays I actually look back on how I would, like, since I'm now back with my mom.
Yes.
When she starts shouting, Sometimes I look at her and remember how I would respond.
Before.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I just be like, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. I just keep quiet and just keep on moving. Just the police officers then spoke to us, and we got to an agreement that I'll try and work things out with my mom. And at the same time, my mom, she shouldn't force me to do anything that I don't want to do or that I'm not comfortable doing.
Okay.
So then we got to that, and then, but then the problem was that later on that night, my mom was like to me, we're going to Limpopo, to Polokwane. I was like, for what? She's like, because you told one of the police officers that the reason why we are like this is because I took you away from your dad. I was like, I never said that. She's like, well, the police officer said so, so we're going. I was like, but we just had an agreement right now that you're not going to force me to do anything that I don't want to do, so we're not going to do that. I don't want to do that. Then I went into my room. When I went there, she came later on saying that we're going to go fix my school stuff tomorrow. I was like, no, I just prefer to rest. The night ended. The following day, they forcefully got me out of the house.
Okay, now when you say they, who was it?
My grandmother, my mom, and one of her friends.
One of
a
her
lady,
friends.
Yeah.
So they're saying that they're taking you to...
They told me that we're going to those police ladies because I don't listen, because I don't want to go where they say that I must go, because I didn't want to go because they didn't want to tell me where I'm going. So I was like, there's no way I'm going where I don't know where I'm going. So then they forcefully got me out, and then they took me to one of the ZTC churches. When they took me there, they forced me with their teas and everything. Then from there, we went to Limpopo.
Now, when they were giving you these teas, what were they for?
I don't know. They were saying that I was crazy.
So
That I suffered from a heart attack. Yeah.
Or they say that you suffered from a heart attack in the mind. And then there you are, they're forcefully giving you these teas. Was there a time you tried to refuse? You were trying...
I refused the whole way, but I refused...
but they forcefully made you drink it.
Yeah, I was on a chair, right?
Yes.
Because at first I was in the car. They forcefully got me out of the car. And then I was on this camping chair. There was a guy this side, a guy this side, other guys here, and then another one here.
Okay, so the other guys were they holding you, pressing down your thighs?
Yes.
Okay.
So that I don't move. They were holding my legs.
Oh, they were holding your legs?
Yeah. So they were...
And these are big.
Yeah.
They're overpowering you.
Yeah. So because I wouldn't open my mouth up, they then resorted to making me drink through my nostrils.
So they started pouring the liquid through your nostrils just to
Yeah.
make sure that it gets into your body.
Yeah.
Wasn't that painful?
You don't want to know. It's something I'd want to forget, but yeah. So then from there, we went to Limpopo. When we went to Limpopo, on different days actually, they also would take me to these ZTC churches where they would still do the same thing, force me, like 3 large men on me, one the side, one on my throat, holding me to drink all of these things over again. And sometimes they'll deny me food if I don't drink their teas. So that's actually how the church got involved, because they were trying to help me out, but then they saw it as an intrusion, and then they wrote all of these things in the magazine saying all these things about Bishop having girls at their places and all of that. And funny enough, they mentioned that I'm giving conflicting stories, but no one spoke to me about it.
No one would hear you.
No one spoke to me before writing that newspaper article. No, they said that the police spokesperson says that I said, but no one spoke to me.
No one even gave you a call?
Nobody. I didn't have a phone at the time. Nobody said all of these things.
So here you were in Limpopo.
Mm.
You have just been taken out of the big city, Johannesburg, and you are there. Okay, the setting in Limpopo, is it a rural area setting,
Yes.
or what is it? What's the setting
Yes,
like?
it's a rural area.
Mhm.
Not a lot is happening, you know. But then it was quite weird how everybody knew everything that had happened, because then one of the police officers that side that knew my mom showed me the newspaper. That's how I actually found out about the story.
Oh my goodness. Now, when you
Yeah.
found out about the story, what was your response?
I was just in awe because of all the things that they were saying. They were like, how can people be like this? People were commenting on things that they didn't even know. They didn't even ask for my side of the story. They were like, how can such a thing be like, how can a pastor be like this? What? But I'm like literally sitting there. They're not asking, is this even true? You know? They're just talking. But then it was like, okay, it's fine, because they had their own conclusions.
Yes. Now, fast forwarding the events, you are in Limpopo. How did you end up leaving Limpopo?
My mom, the second time around when I left, when they brought me in, my mom brought my clothes, everything that I had from Gauteng, she brought to Limpopo.
And you knew the moment you saw your bag with all your clothes, all your belongings, you knew that this is a permanent decision, according to them.
Yes, because like everything, literally everything that was mine was there. Then in one of my bags, I had my phone, another small phone, and my money. This money, Mama Amy and Bishop would give me as an allowance. So I would use some and I would keep some away.
Okay.
So I used what I had saved up to come back. Yeah, this time around I couldn't come with clothes because my grandmother would actually sleep outside of the bedroom that I would sleep in, just by the door there. So
To make sure this time you don't escape.
yeah, so I just left as I was, with just my clothes and the money that I had.
And the smaller phone.
Yeah, then I came to Gauteng.
So they never discovered the smaller phone?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So you came back, now you escaped the second time around. And what form of transport did you use?
I used the taxi again.
A public taxi.
Yes.
And this is it's a journey of how many hours?
About 5 hours.
About 5 hours.
Or 4.
4.
Yeah.
But what was going on in your mind as you're sitting there and
I
you
was
know your
scared.
story?
I will not lie to you. I was scared at that moment.
What were you scared of?
I was scared that they will catch me. Because every time I would hear a siren, because she had a friend that in the police department, they were
Yes.
very close. So that man would do anything, you know, because of how they spoke the first time when I came to Gauteng, Limpopo, how they were talking and everything. I got the conclusion that this man would do anything. So I was really scared, but then I was like, this is the only way I can be okay. This is the only way that could be my saving grace or something. So then throughout the way, I would try not to overthink. I'll try to pray, even though prayer was not coming, but I would try to be strong, because I only had the clothes that I had on my back and the money that I had in my pocket, and that's all.
So 4 hours later, you hit the streets of Gauteng, Johannesburg.
Yes.
What was the first thing that how did you find your way back?
So I came at night. I had
Around about what time?
around 6. That's around 6. That's when I was in Pretoria. Around 7. That's when I came this side. So I had nowhere to go. But then I called a friend of mine. So when I called this friend, he managed to meet me up. So then, because of the amount of money, his mom offered to help me out with a bid to go to an eco-motel
All right.
for the night.
Okay.
So I stayed there for the night, and then the next morning he managed to get someone to help me out. Then he came with another lady. The lady offered me accommodation. She offered to take care of me.
Now, this other lady, who was this other lady?
This lady is Mom Tembi.
Okay, okay, okay.
Eh,
So she understood your plight?
She didn't know much about it actually. She actually just heard that there was a girl that needed accommodation. Then she offered herself. Then she started helping me. She offered me like everything. She bought me clothes. She offered a roof over my head. And at that time it was actually quite cold, but she would, give a lot for me. Yeah.
Now, being in that environment, how was it for you, emotionally, and how was it? How did it just help you?
Emotionally, I was blaming myself a lot.
Why were you blaming yourself?
Cause everybody would have this life. Oh, my mom and I get along so well. I look at my side of the story. Like, what am I doing wrong? That's the thing I would ask myself the most. What am I doing wrong? Why is everything happening to me? Why are things happening the way they are happening? And I wouldn't get an answer. I couldn't get an answer from anyone. And I couldn't even get that answer from my mom, because sometimes I would want to ask her, like, what am I doing that is wrong? Why are you always treating me the way you treat me? But you wouldn't give me an answer. So at that point in time, I was going through all of those emotions. And I would try not to blame myself, because I knew that blaming myself would not take me anywhere.
Yes.
So then eventually I managed to slowly get out of the blaming,
Yes.
because I realized that I'm not going anywhere if I blame myself.
Would you get some form of emotional support, like counseling or any of that?
I would. Bishop would they would check on me.
Okay, okay.
They would ask how am I should eat more. At that time, eating was the last thing on my mind.
You couldn't.
I couldn't eat. I spent more time thinking than eating or living. But then many people, they'll be like, it's okay, I'm praying for you. It's okay, I'm with you. Some, they couldn't maybe like come to that extent of sitting with me and just talking, but then they'll be like, I'm praying for you, I'm with you, don't worry, you're not alone. When sometimes when I'd hear that, I'd be like, thank you, because of everything that would be going on. Because like from a young age, all I wanted was just, I wanted a relationship with my mom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I couldn't get that.
You couldn't get that.
So it was like quite tough.
It was quite up. So
Yeah.
how long did you stay with Mom Tembi?
For about 6 months or
6
7,
months.
because she helped me go through like the court processes and everything.
Yes.
And then from there, I managed to get the job that I studied for.
Wow.
Yeah, which is like the best thing. She would help me pray. She was a good praying woman.
Yes. You mentioned the court processes. So many times people don't realize that they also take their toll, even on you being represented, you being the victim in the situation. But what would happen to you? How did this affect you?
The
court processes, yes.
The reason why I actually went for these things is I just wanted to have peace. I just wanted my mom to just leave me to just be.
Okay.
Hence why we started these processes. Because I noticed that if I didn't get a restraining order, she wasn't going to stop with the police coming after me. She wasn't going to stop with telling them that I'm crazy, telling them that I'm not okay in my head, that, and they believe. The crazy thing is that I would go to these police officers and tell them that she was gonna tell you this thing, and it's not true, But then still, they would still support her, which is something that would be a bit upsetting. So I was like, okay, maybe getting a restraining order would help me, so that I can just calm down, get my thoughts together for some time. And then that's actually when I did it. And
well, the court processes, was it difficult? How was it for you?
the court processes were were actually not that difficult because, funny enough, when I went there, I didn't have a legal representative. I actually stood up for myself.
Yes.
When I did that,
Yeah.
the lady, the magistrate, actually was doing most of the speaking for me. You
Was it in
see?
your favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually was.
Okay.
So at the end of these court processes, she didn't grant the restraining order,
Okay.
but she was like, mother, if ever you try to do what you did to her again, she is going to come to the police station and we are going to arrest you. This time you're going to stay for just a few days. This time it's going to take a long time, 10 to 15 years. Then we got to the agreement. She agreed that she'll leave me. Then it was fine. Then she left me. And I was able to focus on work, on becoming better, on what I wanted, on who I want to be, on things that I like going forward from all of that whole situation.
Now, part of the court processes that took place, you highlighted that you didn't have a legal representative,
Yes.
and you stood up for yourself. You talked, you testified, you poured your heart out. But also, there was also, other situations that took place, especially with the people who were there for you. What do you recall?
I remember there was actually one point whereby I was told that Bishop was summoned as well. My mom wanted, I don't know if she wanted to put a restraining order or what she was doing exactly, but he was also called to one of the courts.
One of the courts, what courts? Basically to try to stop him. She felt that he was winning.
To kind of take me away from him, to kind of, put a boundary between him and I, because it was like he was sort of like poisoning my mind according to her. So she wanted the court to tell him that he must stay away from me, basically. So it was quite a ride, not just for me, but for those that were quite close to me.
And also given the situation with Mama Amy also being pregnant at that time,
it was quite difficult.
It was quite difficult as well. So how did you, after the court processes, how were you like trying to also integrate yourself back to that normal approach to life in society, in church? Did you find it difficult?
I did. I really did. But then I only come for one reason to church, and that is to worship, to please God. That is my reason for this journey of Christianity. I just want to please God and I want to make it to heaven.
And you want to make it to heaven.
Yes.
Now, am I correct to say that it was your relationship with God that took you through this painful ordeal which lasted for almost 2 years?
Yes.
Now, how were you sustaining that relationship, especially one moment for a number of occasions? They would take you out of Johannesburg. You found yourself in so many times in a setting in Limpopo, maintaining and sustaining that relationship.
To be truly honest with you, I had nothing to do with it. If I were to try and explain how I made it out of this situation, I would lie to you. When I look back, there were times whereby I was in a depressed state. How I came out of that depressed state, I don't know. But today, I am here, I am becoming better.
You're becoming better.
I'm becoming better and better and better. If I would say I prayed a lot, I fasted a lot, I didn't do any of that. I would, most of the times, what I would do is I would try and read the word. Sometimes praying couldn't come to mind. Sometimes when I would have to pray, I would look at something to do. Sometimes I would try and pray, I would run out of words. So I wouldn't say I prayed a lot. I'd say it was grace.
It was grace.
Yes.
But you knew that God was there. You would
Yes.
feel His presence.
Yes, that is actually the thing that made me see in my life that there is a God out there, that He really does live, and He's not just in the Bible. He's all over, all around us, everywhere. Okay. And another thing that I would really love to highlight out there is that not everything we read is true. Because many a times people, it's like these days, the church is under attack. You know, many people are just writing things that they don't even know, just, you know, sometimes for degrading the church, sometimes for just to make a joke out of it. But then really the things that were written there, they were never true. You know, instead of believing something that you hear or something you read about, rather ask and find out the deep truth. You know, because this is something that is happening in our world right now, because many things, many false statements are being written in the news and being broadcasted, rebroadcasted, which are not even true.
Now, you know, talking about everything that you've read about, especially your situation and your story from the newspapers and the tablets, is there anything that was highlighted true?
No.
Your whole story, whatever, the way they
things
portrayed
that
it.
they portrayed there about Bishop having like a lot of being an occultic man and everything, that was not true. As you can see, I'm not crazy. Do I look crazy?
Not at
I'm
all.
not crazy. So none of those things were ever true at all. And it's just it's just, I just want to put it out there, you know. Not everything, really, not everything you read in the newspapers is truth.
Now, talking of reconciliation, Papa Lelo, how did you reconcile with your mom?
Actually, what happened was that on one of the days, those 3 police officers, those ladies, actually it was their senior that called me. She was like, I want to meet up with you. I want to talk to you. Then I was a bit, you know, skeptical about it. Then she was like, okay, even better, I'll send one of, she mentioned their names. She was like, how about I send this lady to come and fetch you so you can come to us. We just want to talk to you about something, about your mom, you know, about everything that has happened, because we feel that we have wronged you. We are the ones that were wrong in this situation. How we handled the situation was not right. So we'd love to correct how things were done. I was like, okay. Then she mentioned that your mom will also be, no, she didn't mention it. She asked me when I was there that she would like to call my mom to come. Then she said that the reason why she actually called me was because the cluster general actually summoned the meeting. So he's actually the one that wanted to see me to fix everything. Then when I got there, I saw the general. Then he asked if he could call my mom to come and talk. Then I was like, okay, it's fine. Then they quickly called her. He called her. Then my mom came with my little sisters. And then we just had a talk from there. My mom shared her side of things. The general shared his side of things, saying that, okay, this situation doesn't look right at all. We could have handled it in a better way, but we don't like how things are between your mom and yourself and the whole family. And we'd love to fix the situation. And then I was like, okay. Then I spoke to one of the social worker or psychologist, I don't know, but he's part of those guys, because there were a number of people there. And then they spoke their side as well. My mom spoke her side as well. She apologized. Yeah, I think she did apologize. And then they asked my little sisters if they wanted to say anything. Then my little sister, the last one, she was like, Sissy, I love you. And then I was like, oh, I love you too. And then we just kind of spoke about working things out.
Now, what was your breaking point in this situation to just say, this is it?
through everything, I just wanted things to be right. I wanted I wanted to always keep on working on my relationship with my mom. You know, although I had stopped blaming myself, I still wanted that freedom to just be able to talk to her whenever, even if it means it doesn't, even if we can't have that, we can sit down for hours and just talk. Even if I can just be like, hi, how are you? I'm fine. Okay, good.
You
Even if I
longed
could
for
have
that. Yes.
you know, at least it was something. That's at least there was a bit of something, and that's all that I wanted.
And that attests to that love that you have for your mom.
Yes.
And you just wanted more, and you wanted things.
At that point, I didn't want to push things too far. As long as we could just have a sit down and be a bit rational about things, you know, hear her side, she hears my side, we could talk.
And that's when the call came from the officers.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was an answer to prayer.
Yeah, it actually was.
But after that whole reconciliation process in that meeting that you guys had and the family, with the family, how did that make you feel? Firstly, when you went for that meeting, were you very guarded emotionally? And when did those walls start crumbling?
When the general said that, I would understand if you have your guard up after everything that has happened.
Wow.
He was like, they saw they're wrong.
Um,
And even the lady that called me,
yes.
she was like, she also understands if, you know, I have all my guard up. For the fact that I even questioned her a little bit when she called me, she was like, I understand, and that's quite good, because you just trying to protect yourself, you know. So I was very guarded. I was.
But then when you now interacted with your mom, did those walls start falling immediately or gradually?
Gradually.
Gradually.
Yeah.
You just felt love and you could trust her.
Not at that point.
Not at that point,
No.
but you could just accommodate.
Yes, totally.
Now, coming to this, now it's 2019. What is your relationship like with your mom and the rest of your family?
The rest of my family, it's actually going quite well, because my grandmother was here just a couple of weeks ago. When she left, she was like to me, I just want to wish you all the best. I'll say it in my language, and then
Okay.
I'll try and translate it.
Yes,
She was
go
like,
ahead.
Oh man, I'm forgetting now. Okay, I just wish you all the luck, all the best in life. There was a point in my life where I told her that I'm gonna buy a convertible and I'm gonna
Okay.
put you in it just to blow your duke away. And she was like, I'm still waiting for that. She was like,
Oh.
I'm still waiting for you to put me on an aeroplane before I die. That's actually what I want. So even with my other aunts, we talk. You know, my other aunt was like, yo, you know, I wish you were this side so you can take care of my child, because I know you're the only one that understands children. Others that don't have the patience for that. So it's going quite well. With my mom, it's slowly getting there.
It's slowly getting
Yes.
there. Do you feel that now she can understand you are now at better grounds with each other?
We are getting there.
You're getting
We are
there.
getting there. It might be a bit bumpy here and there,
Yes.
but we're getting there.
Are you still staying with her? Are you staying with your mom?
Yes, I am.
And for how long have you been staying with her?
For a couple of months. I can't remember exactly. Yeah.
And how's it been so far?
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
Yes.
Amazing. Now, any other rounding words that you have for the viewers who are watching you?
One thing that I would love to encourage the young people, the youths out there, is that you may be in a difficult position. You may be in a difficult situation right now, and you may feel like no one understands you. But then if you just try, there's always that one person that can try and understand you. If you feel like, no, there's absolutely no one. You know, there are churches that churches that they say, write your prayer line here or call what, and then then you'll speak to their representative. They can try and cancel you. You may be in a tight spot. A lot of things are happening these days, and the only thing that can help you is interaction.
Is interaction.
Yes.
And before we close off, any special message to Bishop Idah and Lady Idah Peterside?
Mommy and Daddy, I thank you for everything that you've done for me. I thank you for the walk that you've walked with me. I thank you for everything. Words can't express how thankful I am, and I'm still going to keep my promise to you guys. Yeah.
They know what the promise is.
They know what the promise is.
Okay. Pabalelo, what an extraordinary story of bravery and courage that you have just revealed and you've just shown us for such a young person your age. And we know we applaud what God has done and how you have walked with God on this journey. May God continuously grace you to do more for Him and to just attain so many things, all for His grace. And also we just want to congratulate you for your reconciliation with your mom. You know, that is such a beautiful ending to the story and very heartfelt. I believe that for a lot of young people out there or people with troubled relationships with their parents, it is an encouragement of true reconciliation and restoration.
Thank you.
Now, viewers across the world, thank you so much for joining us in this week's episode of The Prophetic Journey with Bishop Dr. Idah Peterside. Well, what more can we say? There is always two sides to a story. This is one lesson that we have learned from this testimony of this brave young lady, Pabalelo. Now, thank you for joining us. And from me, Tracy, and till next time, God bless.